Welcome to the Demo Day podcast hosted by Jackson Fordyce and Josiah Simons. On today's episode, we have Jett Fein, general partner at Headline.
And is it Fein?
Fein.
Fein.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you been asked, is it Fein in the song Fein by Travis Scott?
Everybody says it differently. Yeah. Well, because in Ireland, they say Fein.
Oh, really?
But in Germany, they say Fein.
So which one are you? Are you German or are you Irish?
Well, German but I'm American, but they...
For sure.
Yeah, but German ancestry, so...
Okay.
Josiah's Swedish.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Yeah.
I am Swedish. Oh, you can tell from the blonde hair, blue eyes.
First generation, or...?
No, I am 25%. My grandmother is 100, or maybe I'm a little more than 25%. I'm not sure, because my mom was adopted at birth, and they don't know what she comes with. So
I'll do the 23andMe.
I always forget about that.
yeah, I think she may have done it at one point, but I would have to ask her again, like what was even on her card there, because I'm Swedish and then a bunch of other stuff that I don't really know.
Yeah.
Before we get started,
Yeah.
and we can cut this out too. We were on the drive over here, and I was like, I don't know why I want to ask Jett for relationship advice real quick. I'm kind of I'm saying we can cut this out too, but we were joking, like this would be a fun thing to start the show with.
We can run with it.
Unless she sees this, then it's like I kind of want to cut this out, but we'll see where it goes. But there's this lovely person in my life.
Yeah.
She's awesome. I'm super into her and been into her for a long time now. And we did this back and forth situationship for a while. As of today's 30 days of no contact, because I was like
30 days of no contact.
Because she's one of my best friends too. By the way.
You know what they say. So being a
nervous.
being a VC and doing venture deals it's dating. It's just another form of dating. Maybe you've heard this before.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I'm...
Because signing a term sheet's like a marriage, basically.
Basically, yeah. So I wouldn't say I'm highly qualified, but I'm somewhat qualified to maybe give you some relationship advice with
I just
30 days.
I just trust you,
That
man,
would be
you know?
marked as an unresponsive in our CRM.
I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that.
But there's more to it than that, because I think the reason for the 30 days is he's hoping
this is
that
all
will,
an elaborate plan.
that will push her to finally make a decision one way or another, because she has said so many times she's a lovely girl.
Oh, she's awesome.
And I think that they will get married someday.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Who knows if, maybe I shouldn't forecast these things. But
imagine when this comes up, if this part
You're the
stays in.
pre-IPO round.
You're
the pre-IPO round.
I really am.
Yeah. Well, let's keep on talking about it, and I'll think of whether there are any good analogies from the venture capital business that could be applied to your relationship situation.
Have you ever had a situationship, whether with a
He's got
person?
a ring on his finger, man.
Yeah,
Obviously he's been.
I've been
tell us.
married for 5 years now, and then I've been with my wife for almost 15. So it's been a while.
Dude, he
It's
just
been
got
a while.
engaged.
Oh, congrats!
Last week.
Thank you.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, she
How did the proposal go?
really, really good.
Yeah?
It did not go to plan in every way that I'd hoped it would,
Well, it's
but
just summer in Austin, so we just sweat.
it was
Oh, yeah.
6 p.m. on a very hot Austin day. I think it was like 97.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we went
yeah.
out for how I did it, because she's been expecting this for a couple months.
Okay.
And I just wanted it to still be a surprise, even though I knew she'd probably know it was coming.
Yeah.
So how we planned it was that we did a family photo shoot with her family.
Okay.
And so her mom planned the family photo shoot,
Oh.
so she wouldn't think that I'm part of it. And then that's how we get a photographer there.
Right.
That's how we get her looking nice and
Right.
good clothes and make sure that she feels, pretty in those pictures. So, so we get there and finally got to the spot. There was a bunch of people playing in the water down below, and I was hoping there wouldn't be that.
playing loud music.
And so I was like, okay, we got to go to a different spot. So a lot of things, like little things went wrong, but the big thing that mattered did not go wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I was able to remember what I wanted to say,
Oh,
get down
great.
on one knee. She was really excited, and the pictures turned out really great.
Yeah,
So,
you had a professional photographer. That was very smart.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Congrats.
Thank you so
That's
much.
exciting. I think with getting engaged and getting married, hopefully like a lot shouldn't change a lot, right? Having kids, whole nother story, but that's a very exciting milestone.
Do you have any kids?
I have 2. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah, 2 kids. One of them just started preschool last week, and so we're really going through the emotions right now, because it's I didn't realize how big of a transition that is for a 2.5-year-old going
For
to
them
preschool.
emotionally?
Yeah, it's such a change in their life, which I didn't appreciate as much as I now do, because she was very emotional, very upset. Yeah, which was a big learning for us, because she's such a happy child, but she was very upset to go to school.
Yeah.
So we're going through that.
Did you say 2.5 preschool?
Yeah. Yeah, she's
That's
two
how
and a
that
half.
early?
early they start.
Yeah,
Two
yeah.
and a half?
Dude, I'm
Yeah.
such a bad gauge at like what time do kids
I
walk?
know.
What time do
Yeah,
they
wait,
eat?
can she
I know.
even
I
crawl?
didn't know any of it before I had kids, but oh yeah, she walks. She not only she climbs, she runs. She does. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has being a dad made you a better investor, or are you the exact same way that you look at companies now?
No, I
I
think
feel like there's like some
You
overlap.
ask this question, I'm always like,
I-
no.
No, there definitely is, and I've asked it to Ben Lear before too. He's like, dude, he said yeah, right?
That's, okay. Yeah.
I'd
sorry.
be interested to know what specifically, and my oldest daughter is 2.5, so maybe
Right.
in a few more years I'll have a different perspective on this. But, I think, I don't think there's anything like that I would say has really changed actually. Yeah. I still think I approach the job the same way, but now, I mean, there's
no.
definitely more meaning in life in general,
Oh,
right?
true.
Having kids.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more at stake, but no, in terms of like the elements of the job, I would say it's pretty much the same.
Not to stay on this same
Yeah.
topic, because I know you're a venture
We're
capitalist.
going to enter
That's-
you in a second.
Yeah,
but
we'll,
okay,
we'll,
yeah,
we'll talk about real stuff. Well,
Yeah,
this is real
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, this is
but
more real than just
you-
like what's
you-
next in the markets. But
Yeah, you mentioned that your wife, you'd known each other for 15 years, but you only have been married for 5.
Yes.
What was happening in those 10 years?
That's a great question that I was asked often.
what are you doing, dude?
Yeah. Well, we just took our time. We got to know each other, and I think actually it probably, hopefully, makes us a better married couple now. We knew everything about each other by the time we got engaged and got married. But we were, actually, she was a year ahead of me in law school. And so I followed her out. I was a year behind her, and so she went out to New York to work at a law firm, and so I followed her out there, and did my last year of law school sort of in this weird remote capacity where I would go to New York every other week, basically for that last year, and then I convinced her to move out to the Bay Area, and so when I graduated law school is when I started at Headline. So I'm
Wow.
coming up on my 11th year here, and
Congrats.
thank you. And and she came out here, and we were so that's
kind of
that's
the
how it all
opposite of
worked.
my story. I've known this girl for 9 months.
Oh, amazing! You just
yeah,
knew.
Yeah. Well,
just
I
knew.
did. And like, I don't know. So we read this book called
Okay.
101 Questions to Ask Before You Get
Yes,
Engaged.
Yes.
Read it in a day just to get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would recommend it to any couple who's preparing for marriage. I'm a Christian. It's a Christian author,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of questions in there that are
Yeah.
kind of faith-based.
I've heard of this book. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just going through that question. So we did 101 on the drive to the proposal.
Oh,
so
wow.
we finished the book
Oh, that's cool.
at the time, and it was
Yeah.
like. I mean, it sounds like that happened perfectly. I manipulated it so that we were
We
on-
need to
we were on
do
a
100
question-
today. So
Literally, we were on a question 100 for a week.
Yeah.
So made sure that I just wanted that to happen. It was okay if it didn't, but it
Yeah.
ended up happening. And I think reading that book and just spending almost every day for 9 months together, I never thought, I'd always thought I would be dating for at least 2 years, even more, before I could really say, because I'm like, I'm not going to divorce.
well, you're
I'm
down in the
so
south now.
serious
In
about
Texas, it all happens so
I
much quicker.
moved
Yeah.
from New York to Texas, and I
Yeah.
have a fiance in 9 months. So
But that's amazing. I don't mean to make all these stupid, cheesy analogies about like the venture capital business and love and marriage
Yeah.
and relationships, but I just, what I do think about marriage and relationships is, and similar to the venture capital business, is you just have to keep the chips on the table a little bit, right? And things are going to go up and things are going to go down, and sometimes your portfolio companies will be doing great and other times they won't, and sometimes your marriage will be doing great and other times it won't, but you have to stay at it, right? And you have to keep the chips on the table and keep going, and that would be like my marriage advice as you embark on this is just keep going. Yeah.
What advice do you give your portfolio companies as they head into that low moment?
the
in their
hills and valleys.
Yeah, the hills and valleys.
I mean, it's very similar. I mean, the most important thing is that they feel supported by us, right? And we try to be very steady in all weather, right? I think there are investors that, the portfolio starts to sink or a company starts to sink and they pull back or they forge ahead, and they're not steady. And the thing that I've learned, and then I think the thing that I've seen companies really appreciate, is steadiness, right? And having a rational counterpart on the other side of the table, because I mean, there's no company that just goes up and to the right forever, right? And so being able to be that supportive partner when things are not going great, I think is is really the only option, right? I mean, we're all in the same rowboat rowing in the same direction, and we want the same outcome. And so we have to help these companies get there.
We've skipped over your intro, and
Okay,
I think it's been good time, like just chatting, get to know you a little bit. But Jett Fein, general partner at Headline, thanks for being here on the Demo Day podcast. Dude.
Oh, I'm
Thanks
excited.
for taking the time.
Of
Look in that camera and kind of give yourself an intro as well. What do you focus on for
Sure.
Headline?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm one of the partners here. I focus on consumer internet and have made a lot of software investments as well. Right now I am really leaning into consumer-oriented businesses. So that could be, B2C businesses, B2B2C businesses, businesses that touch the end consumer. And over my career, I've invested in a lot of these. Probably the most notable is a company called GoPuff, which is a direct-to-consumer sort of online convenience store business that delivers products in 30 minutes. Everything from,
There's one right next to us in Austin.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Austin's one of our really great markets because it's a college town, which is sort of where GoPuff started in Philadelphia at Drexel University.
Oh, wow.
But, I look for these businesses that have, if they're successful, have the potential to really impact and touch millions of people. Consumer is, historically a part of a venture portfolio that drives a lot of alpha. It's a very high loss ratio, particularly for early stage venture in consumer, but the ones that do succeed tend to really drive the portfolio. And so it's a particularly exciting category to invest in, very volatile, but exciting. And so that's what I have been spending my time on lately. But I'm also involved and have led investments in some terrific software businesses over the years as well, like Grin and ShopMonkey and many others. Yeah.
I was going to ask on the consumer. I feel like a lot of VCs are shying away now from consumer and going to the infrastructure of consumer instead. Like you mentioned, the high loss ratio there. Why have you stuck around for so long investing in consumer companies?
I mean, it's the same reason. It's exactly what I was saying about the advice we give to portfolio companies. It's that steadiness. Okay. Consistency in venture capital is so important, right? Because, if you pull out of a sector and then go back in and pull out, you may not, find the best companies, and you may time it wrong, and right. And so we really believe that, we know sort of the sectors we like, and we're just consistently investing into those sectors across all market cycles, right? And so when people leave consumer, we're there investing, right? Okay. There'll be a time when people leave infrastructure software. We're going to be there investing, right? There's a time when people will leave fintech. We'll be there investing. And I think that consistency is super important. And then the other thing is that, consumer, if you ask like a person in the middle of the country that's not in our business at all, what technology products they use, right? They're going to say Google, or they're going to say Facebook, or they're going to say Snap, right? These are all consumer tech companies. The biggest companies, right, are consumer tech companies. And so it's a really important driver of our venture portfolios.
Yeah. Do y'all invest? I think I was listening to a show recently where y'all don't invest until there's product market fit.
Right.
Correct. And I'm curious, but say you meet a company just before they hit that,
right?
And you're just so convicted by this founder, they're passionate and they're fired up about what they're building. Do you still wait until they find that product market fit, or do you say, you know what, I believe in you, I'm going to give you a check regardless of where you're at in your journey?
Honestly, the discipline is so important. And so we try to be rigidly disciplined about this. Yeah. And there are rare exceptions, like when we've maybe backed a founder previously, right? And we know the founder really deeply. We may invest in that founder pre-product market fit. But fundamentally, we only invest when there are signals of product market fit. And the reason is the reason is that 99.9% of companies never achieve product market fit. It's the most elusive thing, right? Every company that we interact with on a daily basis, they all have in common one thing, which is that they have product market fit, right? And so we try to wait until we see that in companies, and it massively de-risks a potential investment as well, right? Because, I like to, this might not be the best example, but I'll use it. I like to say that if Mark Zuckerberg walked out of Meta tomorrow and started a company, there is no guarantee that he even achieves product market fit, right? One of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time, right? And so we really like to wait until a company has early signs of product market fit because it massively de-risks that investment.
That's interesting because you mentioned that you like the volatile bets on the consumer businesses, but at the same time, you want to be de-risking with that product market fit. So is that on purpose, that balance?
It is. And we still think we can find those like alpha generators with early product market fit, right? Like GoPuff, for example, that company, they were in a few markets, not a ton of markets. They were in like 6 markets when we invested. There were a lot of questions about the business model and about the market size and about the team and everything, right? But it can still be an alpha generator for us. And many of our other consumer winners, same thing. It's we invested at the earliest signs of product market fit, right? They're in market with a product, early revenue, or maybe early activity or usage, right? And so that's when we lean in.
I want to read a quote, and I want to make sure I get it right. So I'm going to read it off my phone. But I'd love for you to kind of elaborate on this from you, a quote from you. So
you're going to catch me by surprise here.
Jett says, I invest at the intersection of worthwhile and fun. If there's no fun, what's the point? If it's not worthwhile, who cares?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I really believe this. And I think first I can talk about the fun aspect. Life's really too short, and I sort of know my taste now from an investor perspective, and I want to invest in companies that are bringing joy to people, and this is more about the consumer-oriented companies, right? There's like a flavor of company that I really like, and it's kind of my personal taste, and it's fun. And, and I it's sort of one of these things that I know when I see it, but it's whimsical. It mostly focuses on millennial or Gen Z consumers. It's novelty. It's sort of reimagining something. It's bringing fun into people's lives. Yeah. And then the worthwhile piece is, is it actually providing a utility or something that will help people, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the intersection of that is where you have the best consumer outcomes. If you think about the biggest consumer companies, of the past decade, I think you could argue that a lot of them had the combination of fun and worthwhile. Yeah.
If someone wants Jett Fein on their cap table, someone who's building in the consumer space, what fun aspect of their company do they need to focus on?
Well, I think it's about magnetism and energy, right? And so when I meet a founder, particularly if they're building in the consumer space, I want them to know and understand the consumer that they're serving, right? Why are they the right founder for that consumer? And so, typically the kinds of companies that I like, they're being built by millennials or Gen Z founders, right? And they're servicing that market, and they have an energy and a dynamism and a magnetism that draws people in, right? They have to ultimately get distribution. They have to sell to consumers, which is the hardest thing in the world. Consumers are really smart. And so in order to do that, they have to have some magic about them, some magnetism that will draw consumers in. And I think it's pretty rare, to find that in founders. So that's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
When you're talking about fun, you're kind of saying how novelty is a huge part of the fun. And I feel like novelty is actually a really hard thing to know because you just need so much knowledge about a sector to be able to say, oh, this thing really is new. This thing really is novel. Yeah. Because you might think, oh, this is new to me. Right. And then you realize, oh, there's tons of competitors doing this. I just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
How do you kind of find novelty and be able to say, oh, this really is a new thing?
Original. Yeah, not a derivative, right? Yeah. And I think it's just having looked at thousands of companies, right? and having studied, and we'll still miss things. We'll still make the mistake, right? We'll maybe not understand how something's truly novel. Yeah. But we really do try to assess whether something is unique. We don't want to invest in derivative companies, right? I think those companies don't tend to produce the kinds of venture outcomes that we're looking for. And so novelty is important. And I think, if you think about some of the consumer winners that we've backed, the RealReal, for example, was a was a online marketplace for secondhand fashion, authenticated fashion. This is not a completely novel idea, but what's novel about it is that they were authenticating, right? It wasn't peer-to-peer in the same way that prior iterations had been. So they came in with an authentication layer, which really made the difference for consumers because they knew that they were purchasing authentic Gucci or authentic, designer products, right? And so that was a novelty, a novel part of that model that we saw, and with Farfetch, there were very novel elements. With GoPuff, very novel elements as well. Yeah.
You mentioned the winners in the consumer space and some of the mistakes you made as well at the time. When we spoke with Ben Lear not too long ago, we asked him, like, who are some of the misses you've had? Who've walked through the doors of Lear Hippo, and he shared Harry's was a miss of his, and a $1 billion company now. Can you open up about maybe a miss that you have in your portfolio? You met this startup, you met this founder, you liked them, but you passed on the deal.
I mean, there are so many. The biggest one that we always talk about here, and it's is WhatsApp. WhatsApp did walk through the doors, here years ago, and we were very excited about it. And we, unfortunately, thought the valuation was too high, and Sequoia ended up doing it. And we actually got to it earlier. And I think there's probably a lot of lessons in that, but oftentimes the magnitude of these winners are beyond any of our wildest imaginations, right? And so, price is often a really, really big distraction when you have conviction and when things are growing very quickly and when you have an intuition that there could be a seismic shift, that the company creates. And so we've been thinking a lot about price recently and what our price sensitivity is. And I think, oftentimes, when we don't end up doing a deal, when we lose a deal, which happens from time to time, we could have paid up, we could have paid up, and we should pay up probably for the best companies. Yeah.
We're in San Francisco, and I'm reminded of Steph Curry. Like, when he misses a three, when he misses 10 threes in a row, doesn't phase him at all. He shoots the next one when it's open.
Yeah.
How do you have that mentality as a venture capitalist when you miss on one that you say, man, I should have hit that shot? How do you make sure, nope, not going to affect my mentality for the next one?
You mean when we lose a deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's chips on the table, right? And it's keep on going. And I sent an email to our team this morning about not giving up on, and being persistent on chasing after the companies that we are most excited about, right? It's the one thing that's in our control that we can do, right? We can run very fast towards what we believe, what we, in our gut, what we know are going to be really important companies, right? And I think that persistence and really pays off in our business. And so I try to encourage people here to really run fast after the companies that we believe could be the next, $100 billion company. And we don't always break into those companies. We don't always win the opportunity to partner with those founders. But the thing that you have to do is you have to keep going, right? And you have to be persistent. You have to keep the chips on the table. And it helps if you know what it is you're looking for, right? And so we have our product market fit strategy, which we talked a little bit about. Right. So we know sort of what our filter is. We know our individual partners have tastes. We know what those tastes are. We have a very rigid process for outreach, outreach to companies. And so that helps in terms of, orienting the team so that we can perform at a high level.
How does the team sell Headline to a potential portfolio company?
Yeah, we do it in a number of ways. I mean, there's what's like really table stakes, which is building a great rapport and relationship with the founder, right? Like I think
early on.
I think one of the early on, okay. Yeah. I think like this question comes up a lot, and I think like if there's one thing that kind of bugs me about the industry, it's everybody sort of touting all of their all of their teams and their platforms, and they have this and they have that.
So many of those combos.
Have you? Yeah.
It's always the same answer.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
We're really intentional about a real relationship with the founder and all that, which I'm sure it's true.
Right, but I think what I'm saying is a lot of people will say, we have this team and we have this team and we have that team, and they're going to help you your company, achieve greatness or whatever it is, right? But actually, at the end of the day, if you ask most founders, right, they will tell you that the single most important thing is the relationship, right? And so, I tend to think that maybe the platform teams and all of the services and all of the are less important than the relationship. And so, so you asked what are the things that we sell. Number one, I would just say the truth is it's probably more about the relationship than any of the things we sell. Right. But the things that we do that are different, that might resonate with founders are, we are a very data-driven firm. And so we have, which is a little bit unusual, is we have a 20-person full-time engineering team here. Wow. That builds products for our investment team. So we have a product that helps our investment team discover fast-growing companies. Wow. That's called Searchlight. And then we have a product that helps us due diligence, and that's called Deep Dive. And and so we're sort of operating a little bit like a startup, and those products are used by our investment team every day. And so, we show founders these products, and they like it, right? It's something they've never seen before, right? And so they like that we have an engineering team. We can talk to them about data science. We can talk to them about engineering problems. This is somewhat unique, right? And so I think to the extent that a founder appreciates that, I think that helps. The other thing is that we're international, right? And so we have teams in Europe, we have teams in Latin America, we have teams in Asia. And, early stage founders are just trying to kind of keep the wheels on the bus. But by the time they're thinking about expanding internationally, these geos and the teams we have in these places can be really useful to them. And we've helped companies expand internationally. And so for a founder that is thinking about kind of world domination and how they can go from the US to Europe or from Brazil to Europe or whatever it is, we can help them with that.
Yeah. We don't talk to too many, investors that are so focused on consumer right now, and even like focused on media in a way. And we're a venture-backed media company, and I think we're just so curious. Like, is there space for a media company in venture in 2024, or is it more like, those days in the past with? Because I know y'all used to invest in Axios, and exited that, and so I'm curious. In your opinion, where does media stand in 2024 in the venture space?
I mean, without a question, 100% there's space, I think.
Thank goodness.
And and I think that it's just going to require, there's going to be new formats and new modalities, right? And there are, right? I mean, we're seeing that, right? But we absolutely would include entertainment and media in our consumer purview, right? And we just invested in a company that a lot of people kind of view as a commerce company, but I actually view it as more of an entertainment media company, and that'll be announced fairly soon, and so I would even consider that a media company. Yeah.
We won't get into the name of that company, but people see it as a commerce company, you said, and you see it more as an entertainment company.
It has some live shopping characteristics, but the reality is people go there because it's entertainment. And they go there to be entertained, and that's a form of media, and I think that it's probably as much of a media company or an entertainment company as it is a commerce company.
How does venture capitalists make their money on a media company, though? Is there a way that you see them, a media company getting to profitability and an entertainment company getting to profitability enough that it actually is going to make money for a venture capitalist? Because I just think about our own company and I'm thinking of the biggest media companies in the world, and they're just nowhere close to fintech or SaaS or these more traditional venture-backed.
We're not going to return the fund type of.
Yeah, or at least if we do, we would be a massive media company in order to do that. Right. And so how do you see it on that, like, just money level?
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, I would maybe challenge you and sort of say that some of these large consumer platforms are media companies, in certain respects. So like a Meta, or, I mean, there's definitely some characteristics, but the other thing I would say is, and just candidly, I don't know, but it's, I don't really see it as a venture capitalist job to know. It's sort of the classic, like, just recognize when lightning strikes, right? And so, if tomorrow a media founder walks in here and shows me a monetization model that I never saw before, I never thought was possible, but it's working, then, lightning struck.
I know we're doing tomorrow.
And it's my job to see that.
Yeah, it's so funny. We were laying in bed last night. We're at a hotel. We're laying in bed last night, and I was saying, because we interviewed Bradley Tusk in New York, VC up there, and we're great friends with him, and we were talking about the same conversation. Like,
were you okay?
Asking him, like, he's super into media and is always online. I feel like, in reporting and blogging.
Chronically online?
No, not chronically. Well, he's online a lot. But what I'm saying is, he's like, someone's going to come along one day and find a new monetization strategy for this industry. Maybe it's y'all, right? And I was laying in bed, I was like, dude, we got to figure out how to do this. It's like Bradley kind of put it in our lap. Well, that was last night, and so tomorrow's tomorrow, and so
right.
We figured it out. We just don't want to say it on the podcast.
We'll talk offline.
Yeah, offline.
But I think that's like
built-in
But like, it's every founder though at the early stage, and I'm curious if you believe this as well. Like, a lot of the times when a founder has their first idea of a company, rarely ever does it stay the same for the next several years. Totally. They pivot, they find new ways to monetize. How do you encourage founders to either pivot or find new ways to monetize their platforms as they enter into the later stages of their career?
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you one example. I mean, I invested in a company in the pandemic that was a consumer sort of oriented, sort of prosumer platform for the workplace.
Okay.
And it was going okay. It was a team of 3 founders, really talented founders. And it was going okay, but there were some pandemic elements to that company. There were some tailwinds from the pandemic, and they saw the writing on the wall, and they decided actually to pivot, even though it was going okay. And we, as a board, decided, that's great. We'll take 6 months. Figure out what you want to do.
You were nervous about that?
Oh, we were super nervous.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But also we trusted them, right? And they had a very sort of rational, reason, and they came to us and said, "This is what we want to do." So they took 6 months. They came with like 3 ideas, and they were all good ideas, but we had they were very different from what we had invested in, right? Wow. And they selected one, and then you're just you're wandering in the woods for a while,
It's like
right?
starting over, basically.
It's basically starting over, right? You pick an idea, and then you're at day 0, and you're like, okay, wander in the woods, try to get to this elusive product market fit, right? But they did. And
how'd they do that?
They built. They probably didn't sleep much. They were just. It's funny because the team that they had built was it was like a 20-person team, and they pared it down to the 3 co-founders.
Wow.
Right? And it was magic because they were just working like nonstop, pivoting this business, starting anew with this brand, fresh idea. And they signed up these, they built the product. They signed up like a Fortune 100 company, then another one, and some amazing tech companies. And like, it's, they just raised, we led the seed round, and they just raised the Series A. And it's so exciting right now, right? Because, they've come out of this pivot with real potential and real traction and real product market fit. And who knows where it will go, but it's one of these things where we just encourage them, right? Because they, we invested in them, we trusted them. And honestly, we don't, our job is not to run businesses, right? We're here to support and partner with founders and empower them to build amazing companies. And we just felt like, okay, this is the time to do it. They felt like that was the time to do it. And so actually, I forget exactly the question, and we've probably wandered a little bit, but I feel like, the pivot is, this has happened a number of times in our portfolio. Segment, one of our best software exits, right, was a pivot, right? Wow. I think Peter started out in ed tech. Wow. Right? Ended up building Segment, selling it to Twilio for $3 billion. It was a sort of a famous pivot, right? And so pivots can be these amazing moments where, because you've pared down the team, right? You have to make it work at that point, right? And so it can be an amazing, reset for companies.
So it sounds like the team that you have here at Headline is nimble and, honestly, kind. It sounds like the kinds of relationships you want to build with founders, and that's kind of what makes you great at Headline. So I want to know, as a general partner, when you're hiring people, obviously they need a lot of technical knowledge. They need to be really good at what they do. But how do you find people who also are good at building relationships with people, good at being there for their every need and being someone reliable, dependable? How do you even find that when you're hiring? Like, what's the distinctions, or what's something that they do or say?
It's like finding a fiance. You know, it's very. I mean, it's honestly very similar. You've got to get to know people, right? And I think what's amazing, you know, in an organization is that once you have enough of people that share the same values, you just start to kind of intuit and see those values and recognize when other people have those values as a whole, right? And so I think we've gotten very good at selecting for people that share the values here. Yeah. But obviously we get to know people over a period of time, right? And so we kind of try to understand their values and what drives them. And then the most important thing for early stage, maybe growth stage too, but for early stage venture investing is just like an obsession, right? About startups, about building businesses, about helping companies become successful. And we really try to find people and partner with founders that are just obsessed.
How do you get people that are obsessed with startups to come work here instead of going and starting a startup?
It's tough. I think that people that we want to hire are entrepreneurial, right? And I think they probably have a startup in their back pocket, right? That they've been dying to start, right? But I think what we offer is a really, attractive sort of portfolio approach to life almost, right? Where you get to work with a bunch of companies, right, across a portfolio, and help them be successful, versus kind of focusing on the one thing, right? And so I think it attracts a certain type of person.
Yeah. Jett, we're coming close to the end of our time here, and I'm curious for you, what's one big goal you have for yourself professionally and personally before the end of the year?
Oh, before the end of the year?
Or I guess we can go even deeper.
No, that's what I got.
Which one's better?
I've got
5-10 years from now?
I like the end of the year.
I have 3 months.
Yeah.
So professionally, I want our early stage team. We sort of have some internal goals about the investments we want to make, and I'd like to see our team make one more amazing, what I call core investment, before the end of the year. And these are 10 to $15 million investments. We partner with these incredible entrepreneurs. It's a real core position for us, right? And we have a great pipeline right now, and there's some very attractive opportunities. And I want to see us all come together as a team and work to really, find one of those founders to partner with us. And then on the personal side, it's so in my head right now, but I'm just hoping my daughter makes it through preschool this week. I mean, I really want her to succeed and know that she's safe there. And so I really want her to really get to love preschool. And so that's the personal sort of stress and hope for the next week and end of the year.
What's her name?
Aviva.
We'll be hoping and praying that Aviva enjoys
Thank you.
preschool and is excited about education and learning. Do they learn things at preschool?
They do, yeah.
I mean, colors and
they're learning so much when they're little, right? Everything's...
That's true,
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, dude, Jett, we really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show. You can look at that camera. Where can people find you on LinkedIn, X, anywhere else?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn and on X, Jett Fein, and I'm Jett at headline.com.
Awesome. Jett, we appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Demo Day podcast. If you want to watch this episode, go check out our YouTube page. And if you're already on YouTube, go to our channel to watch more great content.